Yes, it's on subtime, and yes, we have Burton C Bell. And no, we are not really talking Fear Factory with him. So if you're tuning in for any masala, well, look away already. We are talking to Burton C Bell about Ascension of the Watchers. That's now his primary music project. Their album Apocrypha released earlier this month, and yes, it's not super heavy, but it's such an hypnotic album to lose yourself in. Get this, the first single, Ghost Heart, well, I caught myself humming it after a week of having heard it in the first place. Peter, what was your experience like with the album?
So yeah, I quite enjoyed the album because I do enjoy like post metal or shoegazy metal, and even though the album's been tagged as industrial, I didn't find it too different from music that Yesu or Justin Broderick has been releasing under that tag for the last few years.
Hmm, absolutely true. Well, let's not waste any more time. Here he is, Burton C. Bell. Let's fucking go.
Hi Burton, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
We're
We're
doing
okay.
not too bad, I'd say.
Yeah. Congratulations on the third album, Apocrypha. It has been in the works for quite some time. How does it feel to have it finally released?
Oh, it's a great feeling. As you know, it's been in the works for quite some time now, and to finally release it, to to finally release it in the way I wanted to, where it sounds great, the concept is great, and we have a label to distribute it. It just fit all it just fit all the criteria, so I'm very happy.
All right. So, before we get into the album, let's talk about Ascension of the Watchers first. I mean, I've read in various places you've described the project as, soul without the machine. And, as a project, you were able to express your artistic nature through music and words. So, just take us right to the very beginning, if you may. Why did Ascensions of the Watchers need to exist? I mean, when did you realize this?
Well, it wasn't, to go back in time, about 2001, I decided to take a sabbatical from Los Angeles, and I felt there was a need in my heart and my soul that I felt I had to release. I had music that I had music in my heart that was not being heard, and there was not really an outlet for it. So I followed my passions. So when I drove to John Bechtel's home across country to his studio in central Pennsylvania, working with John, who has been a very very near and dear friend of mine for many years. He understood the process of the. He understood what I wanted to achieve, and he was patient and patient enough to work with me and to help me work out the sounds that I had in my head and to work out exactly what I wanted to achieve. The need for it, uh, it was a need because I had to release it from my soul. And if you're an artist, you know what that feels like. Holding something in. It's like a pent up aggression. It's like a pent up. It's just an anxiety that if you don't release it, it just makes you aggravated. It affects your personality. It affects your temperament. And I felt that the need was for my sanity. Really, I had to release it to really expose my artistic side that I felt that people weren't seeing. A part of me that had been there ever since the beginning of Fear Factory. Even before that, I come from an artistic world before Fear Factory, before I moved to Los Angeles. So there was this need inside of me that had to come out, and so go back to working with John, and that's creating the songs. I had the ideas and I had them down. He just helped me articulate them and helped me record them. And as the songs were being built, there was this this concept, this feeling coming across, and it's kind of weird. It's like kismet. Everything was coming together pretty much all at the same time. I was somewhat sequestered in the Pennsylvania wilds, as they say, in the middle of the forest in John's studio. Not really, that didn't have cell service. Pretty much, like I said, sequestered, almost like a monk in a monastery. I was kind of, it was almost a cloister to myself. And I was doing a lot of reading of this not a spiritual nature, but of a more of a educational nature. And there's this one book I was reading by Elaine Pagels called "The Origin of Satan," which is a educational look and history of the term Satan in religion and where it all comes from. So almost like the origins of it, so to speak. And there was a brief part in this book about the Book of Enoch from the Dead Sea Scrolls and describing the Watchers. And just that little part made me more interested. It was like, wow, these Watchers, I've never heard about this, but I've heard of the Nephilim, which spawned from the Watchers. And so I was like, oh, the Watchers are before the Nephilim. So I did research online, went to the library, and found a translated text of the Book of Enoch, and I read the Book of Enoch, and inside I learned more about the Watchers and the story of them. And to me, when you relate to something, you really can't explain it. And I related to the story of the Watchers so much that that became my passion. And so the music and the concept and the story of the Watchers just all combined together. And so the need and the research and the exploration of ideas just all came together. And that's how the Ascension of the Watchers was born.
Awesome. Thanks for kind of taking us back to that time. But just to kind of move all the way back to present time, really, right? I mean, you've been working on Apocrypha for approximately 10 years now. And, we know it almost released last year as Stormcrow. So what forced that change? Was it the addition of J.C. Lewis to the band?
Well, no, but Jace, I have to say that Jace is highly influential and highly inspirational for the outcome of this album. The title Storm, I had been working on it for 10 years. I was writing music. I've been writing music since the last release, which was Numinoso in 2008. And I would write music because something would happen in my life, something poignant, some big event would occur that would influence me to write, that would really affect my emotions and affect my life in a way that I had to sit down and create. Creating was my therapy. So I would sit down at times and either with my guitar or at a piano and just write chords and create an arrangement. And so and when I would recreate these, when arrangement was, when arrangement was somewhat conceived, I would remember it and I would go record it either with John or Edu, and eventually Jace. But when we had 10 songs, that was the time we figured, okay, now it's time to do something with these. The whole time over the 10 years, I was actively searching for a label to release it, to support it, that would be interested in releasing a new album from Ascension of the Watchers. And over 10 years, no one was interested. I'm not really sure why. Probably because the last record didn't sell, and we didn't have enough, followers on Facebook or whatever, because that means a lot to people these days. But when we had 10 songs demoed, Jason and I were like, we have to put this out. So we decided that if we were able to record it properly and make it sound the way we wanted to sound, then we would have a better better opportunity to get it distributed. So the idea was to go to the Pledge Music platform and to raise funds so we can go and record the album. And as part of the Pledge Music campaign, we had to come up with, what's going to happen. We had to create a whole plan. And at that point in time, I believe that Stormcrow was the first piece I wrote after Numinosum. I believe that Stormcrow would be the perfect title for it. It was a good statement, and it pretty much described at that point in time the way it described the direction of the album. But with the Pledge Music campaign was a very successful campaign. We raised 124% of our goal. We weren't asking for a lot of money, so that helped a lot. So raising that goal was amazing. So knowing that money was in the pipeline, we decided to start making plans to record. And obviously, as we were recording, that's when the Pledge Music campaign, that's when Pledge Music platform failed and went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And, they failed everyone, not just the bands, but all the fans and all the pledgers that provided funds for these bands. And it was it was a setback, and it was very disappointing and heartbreaking. But we persevered. We decided to continue finishing the album and move forward. And, as we were finishing the album and as we were mixing it, I realized that Stormcrow didn't really describe the album as I felt it should. And as taking the artistic lead and artistic decision, I decided that perhaps changing the name would move it away from the Pledge Music campaign to make it and create its own entity. I also felt that the one song Apocrypha, it's the title track, which ended up being the title track, pretty much was a very good and a very accurate depiction of the entire album. It wasn't an upbeat, but it wasn't slow. It was just a mid-tempo, but it was sounding great. And lyrically, it did sum up the entire album, which means Apocrypha, as you know, are sacred texts that have been hidden away, not accepted by the church or any other religions that purport these type of stories. So whereas Stormcrow to me was the harbinger, was the messenger that brought these songs to me, but it was Apocrypha. The term Apocrypha is the story in a whole. Like, these stories were found and they are being told to the masses, like they were found, just like the Book of Enoch was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in Nag Hammadi back in 1945. These were unearthed for the masses to view and listen to. So I took the artistic decision and changed the name to Apocrypha. I'm glad, because I feel that it's really describes everything a lot better than Stormcrow does.
It's great how things just work out at the correct time, right? Like, everything seems to have its own time as
It's
such.
true. It is true. And sometimes projects do evolve, and art does evolve, and music does evolve. And as an artist, you just can't be so resolute in something that you started. You have to bend a little bit, and you have to be able to see it through, but also understand how your piece and how your art has evolved. And that in itself takes a lot of patience and a lot, and also a lot of self-confidence to really change the idea. It's like, well, I felt this way a year ago. Now it's different. I'm going to change the title, and I'm going to move away from the whole Storm Cove fiasco that Pledge Music created, and out of that death is a rebirth.
Hmm. Uh, a lot of the music on this album, it seems really simplistic at first listen, but when you look beyond the surface of it, there's so much more to it, right? So, two questions here. Because of all the time spent on this project, how many times have you revisited the songs and reworked them? And secondly, in the whole process, what would you say are some of the highlights for you as a songwriter and composer here?
Well, the songs, honestly, the songs didn't really change that much from the original inception. Like I said, I would sit down and write the guitar parts or the piano parts, and record those parts. They did not change that much. They are simplistic, but it's the layers that make the song. It's not just the part, but it's the parts in a whole. So through the years, it wasn't really changing it, as more it was to adding layers that made sense. And there was a lot of thought that went into this. Everything that was recorded for the songs didn't actually make the mix, because during the mix I felt that some things started becoming a little too complicated, or unnecessary. And for me, as a musician, I should say, as my own personal taste as a musician, I don't really, the music I'll listen to is not very complicated. It's very simplistic. It's very open, ambient, but also clear and to the point, I should say. So it's not technical. It's not overly progressive. It's not overly produced, but I wanted it to sound great. And everything that was recorded, I wanted you to be able to hear without too much going on, because too much going on creates, for me, chaos. And I didn't want chaos. I just really wanted serenity to really come in and really create these pieces. So yeah, as a whole, they didn't really change that much. And Jace understood what I wanted to achieve. We, just like John and I have spoken in depth about music over the years and what we wanted to achieve. My friendship with Jace grew over the past few years, and the more I spent time with Jace, we became very close and dear friends as well. And Jace understood exactly what I was looking for, what I wanted to hear. And Jace as you know, is a highly talented and up and coming young producer, mixer. He's a fantastic musician, like John is, in everything he can do. So having these two people as part of the Watchers is essential, because for me, I look for equal members in the art that I am trying to get out of my mind, to try and release. And John and Jace understand it completely. So Jace was highly essential. John is essential in the Watchers and making this happen.
Right. I'm glad you spoke about, the sound, right? Because I was reading in one of the earlier interviews that you've done, you mentioned that you wanted to record the album at a modern analog studio. So how important was this, for the sound on the album?
Oh, it was absolutely important. Ever since the last record, well, for a long time, first of all, I should say, as a musician and a person who loves music in general, I believe analog and the state of analog music from the past sounds so much better than digital. And it's true that analog can capture frequencies above and below that digital cannot capture. So for me, that is an essential part of music. If you're missing frequencies, you're not getting the entire picture. So I wanted to find a studio that had analog capabilities. Has been a part of the search for 10 years, and part of has been part of the search for the 10 years to record. And it wasn't until Jason and I had been talking, but Jace, it wasn't until that time that Jace had called me up and said he had finished his studio, that I should come check it out in Wales, that I made that decision. Because when I went there, I saw that Jace had not only built this beautiful studio on the countryside of Wales, very pastoral, almost bucolic, that I would go in and I would see analog components going in to digital, and I had never seen that before. And to me, I had to hear it. So when we demoed originally the demo of Ghost Heart and the demo of The End Is Always the Beginning, the sound of that demo pre-mastered sounded better than anything I had recorded previously with Ascension of the Watchers in the entire history. And I was like, yep, we have to record this album here. There's no other place that we can record this. And I stood by it. I told, when I came back to Pennsylvania and told John, I was like, John, Chase's studio this is the place we got to record it. And, when I played him the pieces, he's like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm like, yep, that's analog. That's a modern analog studio for you. And it just made a world of difference.
Okay. One tiny little thing about the production that I do want to talk about is this almost ethereal, flangy texture and tone on your vocals. That's really almost like a characteristic of how your signature clean vocals have sounded right from the Fear Factory days as such. Why do you choose to color your voice in that manner?
That was Jace's decision. Pretty much all it is a little bit of delay and a little bit of reverb to just like smooth it out.
And you take it up to 11 on that one track.
Honore.
Yeah, Honore. Yeah.
So that is an effect that he used to emulate a what is it called? It's kind of like it's like an organ, but it's it's like a mellotron or something like that. It's something that was used, frequently in the 70s, sometimes in the 80s, but it hasn't been touched in a long time. And Chase was inspired by this one artist. I can't remember the artist's name, but they used it and he loved it. And as we were mixing the song, we were looking at other types of songs. We were looking at other types of inspiration, because to really bring the song out, because I wanted something very intimate sounding, but almost like it was being sung in almost like a church choir. And the mellodrome, the idea of the mellodrome created that, like multiple voices together to create this as almost like you're listening to various different voices sing different octaves at the same time to create that fullness, but that very odd sound. And when Jace put that on and played it to me for the first time, I was like, that's it. Just the voice and nothing else. Make it simple. And then when the rest of the song comes in, that's where it really just becomes really almost, you're exemplifying the whole part. Funny part about that is that the original title of that song was called Misericord.
Okay.
A misericord is there's two different things. Misericord is a dagger, but also misericord is the stoop that you pull down in church pews, the kneel, so you can pray. And so to me, it all comes together. The misericord, sitting down praying, And the song is a prayer to for my youngest daughter. Honore is in honor of my youngest daughter, and it surrounds the whole scene of her birth and how kind of chaotic it was.
We'd like at this point to play a track from Apocrypha. Which one should we play and why?
I think I would like to. There's a song called "A Wolf Interlude" that is stuck in my mind currently. Every day it's a different song, but "A Wolf Interlude" is to me is the song that really brings the idea of the whole album together. It's a big production. It's simple. It conveys the concept of love, and it conveys the whole idea of the Watchers and the whole meaning of it.
Shine.
So, you're known as the voice of Fear Factory, right? Was it easier or harder, to start a band with a completely different sound? And if you could also tell us, the challenges or obstacles that you faced, or was it just the weight of expectations?
I First of all, I consider myself an artist, and I will pretty. I am confident in what I create, and so I when it comes to, like, for instance, creating a new band, yes, there was some anxiety and some apprehension, but I go into it believing that I am doing what I want to do. I am fortunate where I don't care what other people think. It only matters what I think when it comes to my music and what I create. Because if I care what other people think, then I'm compromise my own art. So what I do is I go in and create what I want to create with the people I want to create it with. By doing that, not only am I staying to my artistic integrity, but I also am being original. I'm not following any trend. I'm not following any fashion. I'm creating what I want to create because that's what I feel I need to do. So, um, yeah, as the voice of Fear Factory, it is Essential Watchers is quite different. However, this is the same personality and the same mind that has been creating the melodies for Fear Factory from the very beginning. The
Yep.
rhythms, the tones, the lyrical content, it's all the same mind. So when it comes to the Watchers, this is all of this is from the same mind, but it's not contaminated by others. But it's not contaminated by other opinions. It's not contaminated by other music styles coming in, because when it comes to the Watchers, I am the primary songwriter, and this is what I want to release. So this is,
Mm.
you know, this all this music. It's from the mind of one of the co-founders of Fear Factory. But
Yep.
this is, and it's no secret over the years that um, I've never been a big metal fan. Yes, there is metal I do like.
Yeah.
Motorhead, for instance, Neurosis, Black Sabbath. But on a whole, I'm not like a metal guy. I come from another. I grew up listening to the AM radio, and I grew up listening to 70s music on the radio, 80s music on the radio, 90s music on the radio, whatever was popular. I like, I come from avant-garde type of music. I love avant-garde music. I love noise. I love industrial. I love ambient. I love soundtracks. And so all of that comes into my personality. And when it comes to the Watchers, all of that style, uh, all of that comes into my writing style. And when it comes to recording,
Awesome. Awesome. Now, this is switching the gears to you personally, right? I mean, you've been a musician for over 30 years, 10 plus albums you've released. You recently even put out a graphic novel. So,
mm,
what's next for you? I mean, there's so much, and like you've described yourself as an artist earlier on, right? Is there an art form, a different kind of art form that you'd like to pursue, perhaps?
absolutely. My first love was actually photography, and I have a couple of projects that I've been working on for years, actually, that I would like to release a couple of photo books. I have a whole series of photographs that I would love to show in galleries. So that's something I've been working on. I have sold my own photographs on my own website before. I don't have anything up there now, but photography. I like to move forward with that. I have ideas for new stories. Um, I do have a story written for the second for the follow up of the Industrialist. But I also have been working on a story for the Watchers album Apocrypha,
Oh,
and
wow.
so it's a kind of a story, but it's more of like text, like the Book of Enoch, where it's and where it reads like ancient text and describing a time period. I have other couple stories that I have in the works that I just kind of work on everything all at the same time. So for me, my future looks bright, and my future is all about art and doing the art that I want to do, doing the art that comes from my soul. So that's what's next on the agenda.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I will be. Whenever they are completed, I'll be definitely telling people about it online. Social media, on my website.
Okay, cool. Leads us to our last question, and this is something that was a very interesting nugget that I came across while researching for this interview as such. I've read that you were part of the music video for Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit. Is that true?
Yes, I was in the crowd.
Oh, wow.
What can you tell us about that experience, and did it leave any long-standing impression on you?
Well, it's I think whenever I get asked about that question, it's not something I think about every day, of course, but whenever I see something about Nirvana, it always sends me back, because I was back then, before Nevermind came out, I was a big fan of Nirvana already. I loved the Bleach album. I loved all their singles from Sub Pop. I'd seen them a couple times live in very, very small clubs. Um, there's a single for Nirvana that's called Dive. And on the back of that single, singles now, back in the 90s when 45s was a single.
Yeah.
The live picture on the back of that single, I am standing in front of that stage.
Oh my God.
I could point myself at, that's me. So that was exciting. But before the video was shot, Nirvana had done a show at the Roxy, and they were just throwing out leaflets, that said, "Come to our video." And so my roommates and I, the three of us, said, "Fuck it, let's go down." And it was down in Culver City. We were living in Hollywood, so we drove down to Culver City, and everyone that showed up was in the video. There was no extras. It was just those people that showed up, and we were there for a few hours, just going through take and take and take. And there's a couple of times you can see myself briefly, but I am in the video, and to know, for me, I don't know if it's an impression, but I feel I am a part of history. I feel that I was at a point of an explosion that was about to burst.
Yeah.
And I was there before it all happened. So I feel, to me, I was ahead of the curve. And, to me, I just feel honored, I've been waiting for the day to, the last time I spoke to Dave Grohl was at that video shoot. And I just look forward to the day that it's like our paths cross again and say, "Hey, last time I saw you, I was in the video." And actually, another good friend of mine was in that video, and the last time the Watchers played live, he played bass. So whenever Tony and I get together, we talk about that time, and it's just hysterical. And it was that was definitely an experience that I'll never forget, and one I'm glad to be a part of.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us. I mean,
My pleasure. It's a wonderful memory. Thinking about it, I could say more, but it's just, I could spend an hour just telling you about the day.
Yeah. Building on that story a little bit, I want to talk about fan engagement, because obviously what you managed to do with Nirvana was you did it because you were a fan, right?
Absolutely.
I see you have a Cameo account, right? And what do you make of how easy technology seems to have made life today? Be it lighter things like talking to the world or engaging fans, or the heavier stuff like, well, creating heavy stuff. Even though with this record you're a huge proponent of recording analog digital, right, or modern analog.
Mm-hmm.
What really and this is something that's stemming a lot from what the world is dealing with as such. What do you think is the give and take of the rise of technology as such overall?
Well, my first answer is that technology has taken the mystery away from music. Before the internet, the music, mostly the musicians behind it, were a mysterious entity that put
Yep.
that that made them that made people search them out. The only time you ever heard about the musicians was you had to search them out in print. You had to find magazines, or you would just have to go to shows, a lot of shows, to learn more about them. And even going to a show, they were still a mystery because did you want to go and talk to them? Did you want to, did you make the, could you go up and, wow, can I go talk to this person? They were so mysterious that they're almost, um, it was almost scary to go up to them. You didn't know what to do because you didn't know what their personality was like. And
Yeah.
if you did know them through the print, you still didn't know about them. So to me, the mystery has been taken away by technology. For me, knowing that, uh, I don't talk online very at all. If I release things on social media, it's like art or something I'm following, but I don't make public statements. I don't share my life. I keep myself private. When it comes to the Cameo, those are fun. It's a source of extra income, which is great, and it's a great way to engage with fans that really want to hear you say something and say hello. I don't. When I do a cameo, I make it very personal. Every one of them's completely different. I be myself without giving myself away. So I still feel like I'm a private person, and I still maintain a mystery. And I think that's important. I want to bring back mystery to music.
Hmm. No, I completely agree with you on that. The mystique of
Yeah.
the music world and any sort of performing art as such has
Yep,
just been lost. Yeah. Anyways.
absolutely. It has been lost, and it's sad, but it's still possible. You just have to really be smart about what you put out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
On that note, Burton, thank you so much for sparing some time out and
Yeah.
chatting with us. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
I thank you for calling me. You know, uh, Bombay. Not Bombay anymore. What was it called now?
Mumbai. Yeah.
Mumbai.
Mumbai. Yes. We spent about a week in Mumbai a few
Yeah.
years ago, and that was,
Were you
man.
at the show, Animesh?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, yeah. It was kind of crazy watching you guys on stage. And actually, a friend of ours, Sahil Makhija, you were at his place. You did the interview with him where he cooked for you.
Oh yeah, he made a delicious dish.
I was
It was,
watching that interview before this.
yeah. I had a great experience in India. The people, everyone was just lovely. The city in itself was just amazing. I walked around by myself and took pictures and just kind of explored the area and just ate amazing food. I was careful, but I ate amazing food. And man, never had a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, your friend who made us that dish was, God, was it Burani or something like that? It
Yeah,
was,
mutton biryani.
oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Hopefully one time, Jace apparently has done very well down in India, and hopefully with
Yeah,
Jace on board, we can get
Mm-hmm.
back to India and play some Watchers, play Ascension of the Watchers shows.
yeah. I mean, that was one of the things I was my message Animesh, right? Is that one of the things about the album is you don't want to watch the band perform at like a bar or something like that, right? It has to be something completely different where you kind of get immersed in the music in there. It's not something where you're sipping on your drinks or eating your food and watching the band.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the kind of experience it
And
is.
that's what I've always imagined for the Watchers. Not I don't want to do. Of course, I'm sure we'll have to play clubs, but for me to make it more of an event than a concert, you know, the venue of where we play makes a huge difference in what people feel.
Hopefully, we get to watch that at some
Yeah,
point in time.
Well,
true.
I do too as well, and we'll make that happen.
Awesome,
Lovely.
awesome.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks so
Once
much.
again, thank you so much for this. It's been
You're
an
Yeah.
absolute
welcome.
pleasure.
All
It's
right.
been a
Have a
pleasure
great
speaking
day.
with you, and thank you very much. Bye.
Man, that Nirvana story was fucking dope, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, that gave me an idea of like probably just doing a segment about just, you know, people who've been there back in that scene, especially that Nirvana story. I mean, it blew my mind. He was actually transformed or taken back to that moment. I actually felt like that.
Absolutely. Now, two tidbits from that interview that I really want to discuss. The first, it's super clear that Burton's moved on as such from Fear Factory, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of strange because it's been a month since we spoke to him, but it was kind of clear that we didn't need to talk about Fear Factory to him. And, a week or so later, he drops a bomb of sorts saying that, he's leaving Fear Factory as the vocalist. So, yeah, clearly he was already in that mind space when we were talking to him.
But here's the weird thing. He mentioned that he's got a story written out, and that's the sequel to The Industrialist. And yes, although the reality of what's happening with Fear Factory is what it is at the moment, I think metal fans around the world largely want Dino and Burton to, take inspiration from Smash Mouth and sing, "Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?"
Oh, hey man, if Guns N' Roses, the original lineup, could get back together, I think there's definitely hope for Fear Factory getting back together, at least with Dino and Burton.
Yep, let's hope both of them are listening to this. Oh well, we can dream. Full power to Ascension of the Watchers till then, and of course to Fear Factory too. That's it on the podcast for now. Talk to us. We are at hornsuppod.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. We are at hornsuppod. As always, I am at Asmawani,
And I'm at Trend Crusher.
and this is Horns Up.
Horns up, guys.